This is Stephen Alexander with another Talk About It Tuesdays book review. Woohoo! African American science fiction has two historical roots: the kingdoms of West Africa and the ordeals of the slave trade followed by the Jim Crow days. It is from these historical roots that many of the short stories written by Stafford are drawn from. I encountered his work in an anthology of stories that he has amassed. This isn't a big anthology, so in some ways I feel it's a bit mistitled. Collection would have been the most appropriate word, seeing as how Mr. Battle wrote all of the stories, with a few being previously published in leading magazines. For this review, I'm going to talk about a few that I felt were representative of his work. Chapter 1 story is called The Lynching. A reporter receives a hot tip and, against the advice of his literary agent, travels to the swamplands of North Carolina in search of a mass lynching of white people. Instead, he finds an old woman who, because she's black, is gorgeously beautiful. The author mentioned this way more than most readers would be comfortable with. At any rate, instead of finding a lynching scene, he and the old woman experience something terrifying. The ending is the exact opposite of what you'd expect from ghost stories of this type. Chapter 2's story is called The Legend of Shango, a sword and story set in the Congo, probably. A woman has been consigned by the tribe to marry the god dwelling in a volcano. The two men who love her are a jerk-ass father who collects wives like my brother does painkillers, and the genius yet rambunctious son who will risk all, including the kingdom, to save her. Due to some unlucky circumstances, the son's rescue plan is botched and all three of them are in the volcano. Can they kill the god inside to free their love? Can they get along with each other long enough to kill the god? Why does the god like human women so much? Yeah, about that. And what happened to the other 400 or so ladies the god married? That's a lot of versions to go through when your name's not Wilt Chamberlain. Chapter 9 story is a sci-fi think piece called Revival. The main character is an African soldier deserting from a prison camp with an alien princess. Instead of escaping, she gets captured by a burly yet luscious female marine horn dog, and he has to come up with a plan to save her that doesn't get him or her killed. The princess comes from a simple, low-tech tribe that knows the secrets of FTL pod technology, and they're not keen on giving that knowledge to humans. The princess, it turns out, is savvier than the space marine assumed, and it's up to our hero to talk her and her people out of destroying the human race. And our Space Marine / Warhammer 40,000 chick is not helping. My recommendation. It's tricky to grade anthologies. Some stories are a hit and some are a miss. This being a collection, I find it easier to grade because all stories are by the same person. I understand that in a collection, you try to follow the same general theme. But many of these stories focus too much on the beauty of the blackest character instead of focusing on the plot. Yes, black is beautiful. We know that. So does the fashion line these days too. Also, you can see the ending coming from these stories sometimes a mile away, especially in story number 9. Story number 11 is more of a history and reading recommendation of African American sci-fi, which had names I recognize. But I think that African American stories don't have to be set in Harlem or Africa to be truly African, or even to have African leads. Nonetheless, if you're interested in dynamic, short stories that don't take too long to read, I suggest adding Mr. Battle's stories to your collection. You can find this collection at Amazon.com, and more of his works at his website, sbattle.com.